All right, looks like we remembered everything this time. Whew. Welcome back, everybody. It's hot out here today. What we're doing today is we are installing the MaxxAir fan. So the kit that we're using is the DIYVan gaskets and adapters. Mainly it's just an adapter. It's this piece here, it's this piece here. It's made to fit specifically in this bay. This is what they call bay 3. Bay 1 is at the front. Bay 2 is this middle one right here that's really big. Bay 3 is this one, which is approximately 14 inches between the studs. And then this is bay 4, which is extended length bay 4, and then the final end bay, which is an extended bay. So I've already hosed the top of the van off because it was covered in tree pollen, because we got none but trees around here, and it made this black van green, made my blue truck green as well. So we've wiped it down. I'm getting ready to hit it with some isopropyl alcohol to get any remaining grease and grime off of it. I have already drilled right here the hole lining up where the edge of the frame is, because right underneath here the frame is shaped like a hat, right? So it comes out, folds up, and then out again, like an old-timey hat kind of situation. And so in this specific bay, you kind of have to locate it. So the easiest way to locate where the edge of that is by drilling a small, it's a 1/16 hole through the roof from the inside to find that lineup. And then you put the edge of this right on the edge of the hat, the part that comes up and flattens out against the roof. That's the part you're going to, hopefully when you cut this hole out, you're going to cut right along that edge, which will be right on the edge of that beam. And you go around, and on the back, it's the same thing. You're right on the edge of the beam. So hopefully that will be in the perfect spot for that, and I won't catch the beam. This is a tight bay, but with the air conditioner going to be in the front, this is the size you're looking for in the back, right? There's not really a whole lot of locations for this. I have seen people mount them on the sides, but these brackets are only made for in the middle. You could fit one of the small MaxxAir fan round dome fans, I guess, in some of these side parts of the bay, because they're small enough for that they could fit in the flat area, and you wouldn't need any sort of an adapter. But what these adapters do, and why they're so nice, is these roofs on any of these vans is not flat. It has a little bit of an arc to it, a little bit of an arch, and so this takes that arch out and makes it flat. And then the adapters are grooved, and you can see the arch, and they're grooved to fit right in the slots, just like that. And so I'm going to wipe this down with alcohol, double check the location of it, and then I will slather it up. Now, I did have a problem trying to find Sikaflex in my area. Unfortunately, I live in Maine. Everything is boating around here, but nobody carries Sikaflex. Everywhere you look, nobody has any. I don't know why. We don't know if it's primarily a West Coast thing or what it is, but nothing here in this area for that. So I went with the suggested alternative from an online source, which is going to be Loctite PL Marine. which is as flexible as Sikaflex, has slightly higher adhesion, and is made for marine applications. So should work great for this situation. So we're going to go ahead and get this wiped down, and then we'll get that applied, and then we'll come back. All right, we are glued down. I put a weight on it to hold it down while I do the work on the part on the inside of the van. And I have those helping hand supports for that. And I don't want to do, I know the DIYVan solution is you just get some big fender washers and put holes in your van and to hold them up. I'm just going to use the helping hand arms for that. Now the big thing with using this stuff, other than the marine stuff that I used, is it's white. Unfortunately, it's white. And you know the top of my van is black. So you can see the white around it, but that's not going to be really an issue for this, because when it's done, I do have some lap sealant that is black to put on it to seal it up, so, or to make sure it's sealed. Right now it's probably sealed because it's oozed out on every edge and every corner. I just went around the edge of it with my finger and wiped off the excess. Get the weight, the board, everything holding it down. Hopefully it doesn't glue itself in. That would be bad if it did. But right now we're going to move on to doing the interior piece, and we'll see how the interior goes. Let me go show you real quick. While that's doing its thing right there, we can go down the ladder. All right. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So this is the hole where the fan is going to go. It's not really a hole yet, but we're going to put it right there. So this is from here to here. This is the edge of the beam. So it's, like I said, it's a hat, right? Comes in, goes down, goes back up. Simple. This is the two parts upstairs. This is the hole right here. There's white sticking out of it from the, oh man, it is 900 degrees inside here too. That's from the sealant I put in. But yep, 14 inches from the inside of this beam to the inside of this one. So hopefully that will be fine. Hoping for the best. Because they say you need to, when you're doing this, you need to move this bracket here, not at 14 inches, but this needs to be 14 and a half between them. That allows for the flange, that is the adapter for the fan itself. The flange, which you're going to screw on, needs to be able to go through that and bite into the interior adapter. I don't know if that's going to happen. They did give me additional screws, long, fairly lengthy ones for that, which I'm assuming is for that purpose because they are self-drilling. The directions say to put one in each corner and then just use whatever supplied screws came with the fan for the rest of it. But I do believe that what they are wanting is you to use their screws to pierce through this piece here into it. This is not a hardened piece, I don't believe. It may be, but I do not believe that this is hardened, very hardened, as opposed to some of this other stuff like here. This is, I think, a hardened steel. There's a few other places around, like in the bases. The bases down on the bottoms I believe, are kind of hardened down in that area. But we'll get it. We'll start working on that next. That's the next thing. We're going to get some super glue on it, lay this out, and see what we end up with here. All right, so we're back. We're at a point now where the exterior is attached, or well, the exterior adapter is attached. This is the interior adapter. Now what I've done just to see what it looks like is I went ahead and this is the attachment for the fan itself. This is the part that goes on the roof. But I wanted to see how it lined up with the screw holes that go around this. Because that is ultimately the question really is, you want these screws that come in the bag. They're however long this is. They're 1.25 inches long. These are the ones that DIYVan has provided. So what I am assuming that they want you to do is you want to go through this piece, through the roof piece, which is in its thinnest point is probably 1/4 inch thick. Its thickest is probably 1/2 inch. Go through the roof and into the interior piece. Part of the directions they give does say to you measure it out, and then you move the interior adjustable pieces, the parts that go in the front and back of the van, you move them out 1/4 inch. That way they engage, or will partially at least engage, with these holes. Now unfortunately the interior where I'm at is going to have a bracket and everything else, and so you've got to be, you want to be on here as much as you can be on here. Now there are, let me see here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 holes. I'm going to guess that they probably gave 16 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 16 screws. So the better option is to use their screws. Their screws are self-drilling screws, which means they have a little drill bit on the end of them, and they will help cut through the metal of the roof and the metal of that beam and grab onto it. When I did my trailer, I almost exclusively used those types of screws, since everywhere you're screwing into is metal. So you're screwing into beams, you're screwing into wall and framing and everything, and so you really need self-drilling for everything. The screws that it comes with, that the fan comes with, are standard sheet metal screws. Non-self-drilling, they're just standard pointed sheet metal screws. So we'll use the ones that DIYVan provided, and what I was doing was just looking at my marks that I made on these pieces, if they would line up with these other pieces, as long as I move them all 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. And they do. So now we can get to gluing this thing together. DIYVan does provide this Insecure super glue. This is a super thin glue, so it runs really easily. And I know that the way they suggest doing it is taking a square, lining up on your mark, use your square to square up everything, and then while you're holding it, if you can manage to do it without having a problem like what I'm having here, You then take your glue and you dribble it in there, and it will, within a few seconds, glue these together. So I'm trying to be as square as I possibly can, be on the mark that I made, because as long as I can make these square to each other, then I should be able to sorry, I'm concentrating. As long as they're square to each other, these two, then basically everything else will square up as well. And I'm just holding it together for a few seconds here to give it a second to dry and adhere. This is the part that scares me the most right here, to tell you the truth. You know, cutting holes in a roof is pretty scary, but this part here, you mess it up and you're messing it up. That's why I had the top piece, the adapter plate and everything laid down here. And if you hear the periodic screaming, people who live across the street, their little daughter is having a birthday party. I have no idea how old she is. I know she's second grade, first grade, something like that. And apparently today is her birthday. At least from all the people, all the little kids that have showed up to run around and scream in their backyard. Which is entertaining for somebody, I assume. I mean, as long as they're having a good time, that's what really matters, right? These things have just a little bit, these things are not flat. The part that goes on the cross beam is not flat, so getting it to line up and stay lined up is like the ultimate challenge. Oh, glue flying everywhere. Now they make these different brackets for different bays. So, you know, the bonus here is you could do a different bay. Like if you did bay 1 or bay 2, they're much larger. And then you can, I think they even allow, maybe on the website, you can choose whether to be the front or the back of the bay, that sort of thing. Bay 3, you don't get those options because the bay itself is only as big as this fan. So you are limited there. Oh, and that dribbled on there. All right, well, this glue works much faster than most super glues, I tell you. Most super glues don't work this fast. At least they don't really seem to work this fast. All right, I'm gonna take a pin, stick under there to help me hold this up, and I, for the life of me, can't see. Here we go. Just want to make sure I'm in the same distance here. So if I set this side to 5/8 of an inch, set this one to 5/8 of an inch, then they should, then this part up here should be the same. Maybe not 5/8 of an inch, 9/16. That one's almost, yeah, 9/16 there. Have to wiggle that a little bit. That's fine. just to make sure it lines up just right. You ever feel a breeze and you're like, that is the best breeze money can buy? That's what it's been like these last several days. Do not think my board is all that flat. Double check. I just didn't like the way it was not looking right. So we're going to measure it again. All right, right there. I feel like I need more marker under here. More pen or something. Too much pen there. Too much. There we go. That looks like a good sign right there. And of course it rolled off because I put my hand on it. The struggle is real, I tell you. And this glue warns specifically that it will bond skin instantly. So I'm trying to make sure I don't bond my skin. Or anything else over here. Because I can see it dribbled out right there. Apparently that was too much. Come on. I do believe that this is super glue, right? So super glue is very, in the glue world, super glue is very brittle. Oh, that's good. Super glue is a very brittle glue. If you stress it in any way, if it's compressed, if it's like this, it's got good adhesion, right? Really good at not pulling apart. But this way, I don't think it's shear strength. I don't think it's very strong. And if you put any real effort into it, you can pull it apart. You know, the commercials from when I was a kid where the guy would hang from the metal beam. He was glued up there with super glue, blah, blah, blah. Those were a way to sell the glue that didn't do what they wanted it to do when they invented it. It worked good for other things, but it was not its intended purpose. Which is just one of those kinds of things that happens when you're inventing stuff, right? Is sometimes you find an alternative use for something that may not be working the way you actually expected it to work. Just how we get a lot of things in the world, I think. Super glue being one of them. So now this has got glue on it. It's together pretty well. I'm gonna let it sit for a few more minutes just to make sure that it is glued pretty well, that the glue has the time to adhere. And then we're gonna go out there in the van and see how well it fits up in the slot before I put anything else on it. So yeah, what I was saying about this particular piece, if you notice right here, you can see this is the hump, right? It has a hump right here. That is because the hat framing, the interior framing of the thing has a ridge right here in the middle that pushes down, and then it has a flat piece and then a ridge here, and it actually is pushing down onto this, so this will attach to that. And then this rib right here, you can see, if you look, see right here, this is the part, there's a rib that runs right along in there, and that's what we were trying to glue together. So front to back, these are the same, or this particular bracket is the same. I do believe they do make brackets that have a front and back. Depending on the location that you're going to install it, you may have a front and back. This particular one does not. Then I'll take, once I make sure it's going to work, I'll take my marine adhesive, gob this sucker up like there's no tomorrow. Maybe use this whole tube, pour it on here, and then go stick it in, put my helping hands up underneath it to hold it up. And then we'll let it sit like that for a while, because it's, you still got to drill, you still got to cut that hole in the roof at some point here. Now break down and do the deed, as they say. But first things first, let's go see if this thing's fit. I'm going to go try it out, see how it fits, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we are. It is glued together, slathered up with goo. Helping hands are in place and ready to help. As you, oh, and I'm getting it everywhere. All right. Right there should be the spot we need to be in. And of course I've gotten it everywhere. All right, here we go. All right, let's. These things are made to get dirty, so. Yeah, you want to grab me one of those paper towels out of the box in the garage, please. Wife's gonna go grab me a. So I'm putting these on here basically just to hold it up. I don't want to squeeze it too much because I don't want to deform the roof. So it's just there just to just enough to hold it up there while it dries. Ooh. Let's see, let's get this last one tightened up here. Here we go. Thanks. This stuff, once it gets on you, it likes to stay on you and then on everything you touch. Luckily, none of this will be seen, so it doesn't really matter that much. I just don't want it to be too super messy. You know, ideally it wouldn't be super messy. Let's see. see if we can get any close-ups up here. We'll pause this for a second. And now let's get a close-up in there. So you can see it squeezed out several locations. I'm going to go ahead and go through with the gun and shoot some more in there. Just to fill the gaps that kind of ran out. Just to fill those gaps in a little bit and make sure that I've got it in there good. These feel pretty tight now, so we'll just leave these alone. They seem to be holding it pretty well. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and shoot some more goo in there. All right, so the hole is cut. Yay. I think that is the hardest part right there. I tried to use a nibbler, which just cuts out these little pieces of metal. The problem with it is when you're trying to follow the inside contour of this, it leaves like an 1/8 inch gap all the way around. As it nibbles, it leaves an 1/8 of an inch because of the size of the tool. So I only went a couple of inches. I had to stop and switch to jigsaw. I did also end up putting a board across my rack here so I could get up here to it, because that was one of the challenges here is the ladder I have is right up against it right up against the van at the bottom, but at the top it narrows a little bit, and of course the van slopes inward, and we end up with like a foot worth of gap. So I had to put something that I could get up on here. So thankfully 3/4 inch piece of plywood, and the rack holds me no problems, which is good. Once all the stuff is on here, I probably would not spend any time up here if I didn't have to, but that is the hole. Now I have put the butyl tape on the plate, which this is the plate that gets installed on top of the adapter plate. This is the plate from the fan. It has 2 layers of butyl tape on it, or 2 layers of 1/2 inch butyl tape. I'm going to use their screws to drive it down in there. Then we'll put the lid on, put the whole fan on, and then this project will be complete, as they say. So yay, yay, yay. It's taken about a day. I let that sit and cure for a couple hours. That was plenty, I think, or probably 2 or 3 hours. It's cured enough. Once I put screws in it and drive it in, and the screws grip, it'll keep it tight, so I don't worry about any of that. Once the screws are in, I'm going to put lap sealant on all the way around the top of it, on the screws, and this little project should be done before dark. Yay! Well, hopefully this will be enough. For some reason, my microphone has decided to die, so I'm recording this with the built-in microphone, so hopefully it will be good enough. The fan is installed. The only part that is really any difficult to this is getting the fan down squeezed against its own gasket. And then that's the hardest part, it seems like, is because you really have to either mash it down, which you can do from that side of it, because you have to open it to put the screws in it. This end of it you can mash down from the top. That end you cannot, because you push on it and you're just bending the arm. So you really need a second person inside just holding onto it and pulling it down so you can pull it down. But now the most satisfying part of this is now happening, which is peeling off the plastic protecting. Let's see, I don't think I can do this two-handed, but let me set this thing down, point it at it, and we'll give it a go. That chunk over there, it looks like it didn't come off. There we go. And that is the install. As you can see, I did put, oops, now that you can see because the camera's decided to do its own thing, I did put lap sealant, black lap sealant all the way around it. I had, there we go, it's kind of hard to get this thing to aim where you want it to aim sometimes. But there's black lap sealant on all the screws and around this bottom edge here and along the edge where the flange for the fan attaches to the adapter plate, in addition to the 2 layers of butyl tape that's underneath there too. So that should be sufficient to keep that watertight. And then that's the MaxxAir fan on a Transit. All said and done. Now we just got to do some cleaning up and it'll be all good. Get this stuff out of the way. It's starting to get, well, not really getting too dark, but I'm tired of being on a ladder. I did forget one thing. I am going to leave the braces in. You can see this is the final install here. I am going to leave the braces in for now, at least tonight, pushing these in, because you could feel some of the screws, like the screws coming in on the sides, were biting into it. They drill through the ceiling or through the roof material, and then they bite into this. But you can't really tell if they're pulling against this or if they're pulling the ceiling part. The black is from where I painted it. But on the ends here, it felt like in some places it was hitting into this second hat piece right here, this part of it, and in other times it just felt like it didn't hit it at all. So, you know, in the middle sections it felt like it was pulling down into this, but on the ends not so much, because you could feel it drill and then it would just go in, but there was no second drill. So I'm not sure if it did on the ends, if the screws pulled into that or not. So I'm going to leave the bracing in for tonight at least, and then maybe tomorrow I'll come out and check it and see what it looks like. It should be good, hard, and glued up by then and not going anywhere. So because this is 24 hours fully cured glue, so, or adhesive as they called it. So it should be fine. Most of it is glue, is got screws in it, like these side pieces got screws in them, so they're fine. And these are attached to those, so all of that should hold together fine. I don't see any problems or have any questions about it. Just thought I'd put it in the video that was what was happening with it. All right, till the next video.